What does it mean to truly be seen? In American media, Black life is often presented through extremes. Stories of struggle, stories of survival, or stories of extraordinary success.
No, I want queens. And we're not rich. We're ordinary African students.
Whatever you say, pal.
But what about everything in between? Across news, television, and film, representations of Black identity are often shaped by narrow narratives. These portrayals influence not only what we see, but how we understand Black life as a whole. On one end, Black communities are framed through poverty, crime, and struggle. On the other hand, success is often depicted as exceptional. Together, these images create a limited picture of what it means to be Black. This project explores what happens in the space between those extremes. Specifically, it asks, what happens to the Black middle class in media representation? Is it missing or simply overlooked? To begin exploring this question, I interviewed students and professors from UT Arlington to gather their thoughts on this subject. Let's begin. So when you watch movies or TV, do you feel like they accurately represent Black life?
No.
Or your life in general?
No.
Could you explain that a little bit more in detail? What do you think are the main things that you see?
I see a mix of stereotypes as well as almost like a over-exaggerated perception of what African American represents.
What is the most prevalent message? Okay. Or like common themes you've noticed over the years?
Unfortunately, violence. As African Americans, that's probably something we need to lower. And the fact that when we are on the news, it's more common we're either running into death or violent against one another.
These are the mugshots of 21 suspects in a street gang known as Kikto, arrested in connection to a string of violent crimes committed in the city of Arlington.
And so I do believe that it could be perceived differently if we try to almost go back in time and represent ourselves the way we had to fight to want to be seen. And that's kind of where I lay on that question.
Okay, if I'm being honest, I kind of agree with what Madison said. Sometimes I wonder how, as Black folks, we went from Martin Luther King to King Von.
Police steady watching me. Every day they clocking me. Red alert, I'm the dangerous. I keep that clock.
This idea connects to cultural or restorative nostalgia, the desire to rebuild a strong, unified Black identity that now feels fragmented. Supporters argue that when negative images of Black life are constantly pushed and commodified, it creates a cycle where we start glorifying what harms us, a self-fulfilling prophecy. But on the other hand, some might disagree. They say that the past was never one unified reality, and focusing on it can distract from the real systemic issues we face today. But both sides matter. And at the end of the day, however, it all comes down to what story the media chooses to tell.
Like you say, we're students and we've gotten blessed with the privilege to go to school, and unfortunately that is not shown a lot. We see, like you say, the lower and the higher side. You're either balling and you got all the money in the world, or unfortunately you're really, in the hood dealing with crime and trying to make it out. And they never show appreciation for people that are in the middle who thrive for the education.
Yeah. All right. So, why do you think that the media tends to focus on Black struggle or exceptional success rather than everyday middle class life, for African Americans specifically?
Well, it's a really great question, Courtney. I think that the answer to that has something to do with middle class life is sort of boring and expected.
Media framing is the process by which media sources select, emphasize, and present certain aspects of reality to shape how audiences interpret it. This concept helps explain why the black middle class remains underrepresented. To explore this further, I sat down with Dr. Jason Shelton, professor of sociology and director of the Center for African American Studies. For nearly 18 years, he has mentored students and fostered conversations around leadership, service, and inclusion. And at the time of our interview, he was also running for Arlington City Council.
I am ready to hit the ground on day one once elected to office. Please vote for me, Dr. Jason Shelton, to represent you on Arlington City Council, District 8.
Here's a look at what Dr. Shelton and I discussed.
I show a documentary to my class called People Like Us, Social Class in America, and there's a line in it where a woman is talking about the black middle class, and she says, the jail to Yale stories are common. And she goes on and talks about how many people are comfortable with that because that's what they know of African Americans, like rags to riches, somebody who grew up dirt poor in the hood. And then, somehow they have some talent that makes them exceptional and they go from dirt poor to rags to riches.
This rags to riches underdog story is truly fascinating. On the surface, when paired with black representation, it seems harmless. I mean, who doesn't love a bottom to the top message?
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team in.
However, this framing becomes problematic when it limits the idea of what it means to be black and successful. To explore this perspective, I spoke with Isaiah Perry, a student at the University of Texas at Arlington, to hear his thoughts on the issue.
What are those areas that you think that they are promoting the most?
Here recently, a lot of like underdog stories, black success stories. They've been showing the struggle and the work they had to put into to become great. So I feel like now I'll call it the underdog type trend.
Going back to that question though, so when you think of success for black characters in movies or just in black representation in general, what usually comes to mind?
Sports.
Okay.
Sports. A lot of times it would be sports. Sports.
Sports.
Yeah.
Would you say that was a big thing growing up for you?
Yeah, it definitely was.
As a black man myself, sports were definitely overemphasized in my life. I honestly never fully enjoyed them, but at some point I realized that in my community they were presented as one of the best paths to success, and eventually I believed it. And this is a clear example of media framing. Black people are often overrepresented in sports across news, television, and film. In fact, while working on this video, I was scrolling on my phone and I came across a clip by Buff Nerd.
I think my favorite thing about being black and living in like a wealthy, affluent neighborhood is everybody thinks that you play professional sports. It is so fucking funny. Granted, I'm a big dude. I'm 6'6", and I work out, so I look semi-athletic. But it's so funny. Did you play in the NFL? Did you play in the NBA? Nope, just a nigga.
It is stuff like this that shows that these kind of portrayals, especially for black men, creates a narrow understanding of what success looks like. When we are primarily seen thriving in sports and entertainment, we become less associated with professional, corporate, and middle-class careers, even though many black people are a part of the middle class. And so this narrative is limiting. It suggests that our success is exceptional rather than diverse. But as black people, we can win more than games, and we are. But still, the media continues to shape a narrow identity, reinforcing the invisibility of the black middle class, those who do not fit the exceptional mold. And here's what Madison had to say about this issue. When we think of success for black characters in movies, what usually comes to mind?
Sports.
Or within media in general.
A lot with sports or status, or they say flexing. It's common to almost idolize yourself as success rather than realizing what you do behind the scenes is more appreciated. However, what everyone sees is what they believe is defined as success. But truthfully, success definitely lies within an individual, black or not, which is why as African Americans, it'd be nice if we encouraged one another to view that perspective of each other, because I think it would be stronger for the narrative of how African Americans are viewed as a successful person, especially in media.
Amen to that. So, how did we get here? Why are Black people framed this way in the media? To investigate this, I sat down with Dr. Dustin Harp, Associate Professor in the Department of Communication at the University of Texas at Arlington. Her research examines how gendered and hierarchical structures are reproduced, challenged, and negotiated across traditional and digital media, offering key insights into today's communication landscape. Here's what Dr. Harp had to say about this issue.
I don't think there are white people sitting in rooms going, let's make these people look bad. I don't think that's happening. The thing about ideology, which are sets of beliefs, is that you grow up within them and you feel like they're natural. So then it gets replicated, reinforced in our media system by the same people who grew up in this system now reinforce it because they now start to build upon this media system and create content that reinforces it.
Okay, some of y'all may not like the term that I'm about to bring up, but I think Dr. Harp's perspective is supported by none other than critical race theory, which argues that social institutions, including the media, can reflect and reproduce systemic racial inequalities. From this lens, I guess the film industry operates as a cultural institution that reinforces dominant narratives and shapes how race is understood. This matters because research shows that media industries are structured in ways that can limit the production and distribution of diverse stories. When authentic Black experiences are perceived as less profitable, portrayals that challenge dominant narratives are often diminished. In that sense, the absence of nuanced Black middle-class representations may not be accidental, but strategic.
Whether we're talking about journalism, whether we're talking about entertainment, whether we're talking about social media, whatever, who has control over the messages? Who has control over our narratives? People are more likely to trust, to associate with people like themselves. So I just said most people in Hollywood and who own our media industries are white people and white men. So the stories that get told are often the ones they think are important.
If the American public thinks to be really Black, you have to be poor, right? If that's the idea, and a lot of us think that too as African Americans, then what does that mean if you're not really poor? What if you are middle class? Are you anchored in Blackness the same kind of way if you live in the suburbs as opposed to in the hood? These are really interesting and complicated questions.
I have been in those scenarios where I feel like, they don't see me by who I am, but who they have an image of who I am in their head already, and I don't match that image.
Going off of that too, have you ever felt like you had to prove your Blackness in certain spaces?
Yes.
How did that go?
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave now. Like one of those situations where what's normal anyways.
The question of proving your Blackness has been around for a long time. Some argue that as Black people move up the socioeconomic ladder, they can become less connected to the culture. That's where terms like Uncle Tom, Coon, Bougie, or even the character Uncle Ruckus comes from. It's these labels that are used to describe Black individuals who are seen as having lost touch with themselves. But in today's world, where Black identity is more diverse and at times more fragmented, how do we truly define or even attain what people call authentic Blackness?
What is Black culture? What is soul food today? What is Black music if it's not connected to the church? Who plays an instrument today? So there's so much that has changed in Black America in terms of our culture, in terms of our religion, in terms of our politics, in terms of so many things that's why I say things are up for grabs today in ways like never before. So as a father to two girls and as a researcher who tracks this stuff, I think I see where 50 years from now, 100 years from now, what we define as blackness will be up for grabs even more than it is now. And it will be really interesting to see what that means down the road.
In this new generation of African Americans, many of whom have grown up further removed from the Civil Rights era, a time when shared struggle created a stronger sense of collective identity, understanding unity in today's world is more complex as foundational pillars of Black America diminish. Take the Black church, for instance. Once a central pillar in the community, does not hold the same influence it once did, as many are choosing to step away from the church for a variety of reasons, many in which are valid. So where does that leave us? It suggests that the new generation of Black America is tasked with redefining what blackness means on a broader, more authentic understanding of identity, despite media portrayals or public perception.
They have an image of who I am in their head already, and I don't match that image. But I'm not. The Lord didn't create me to match their image. He created me to be who I am.
You know, you go to certain places, they say you're too black, and then you go to certain places and they say you're not black enough. Which is why it's one of those statements of just being authentic doesn't lie, and how you want to say, well, I am black, that's why I do this. No, I'm Madison. I do architecture and I do it because I love it. I don't do it for money. I don't do it because I'm trying to prove a point. It's genuinely who I am, and I think that's where I realized trying to fit in, that no longer is a satisfaction that satisfies me. So I just don't do it anymore.
That's awesome. Any last words? Anything else you want to say to anyone who could be watching, or the conversation in general?
Always be yourself and appreciate where you're from, and don't ignore where you're from. But like you said, history will repeat itself, and pick the best history that you should want to repeat. Don't repeat things that you know will backfire. Repeat things that you know will inspire. And that's just kind of how I will say that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madison.
Thank you.
Oh, could you wave? You could wave to the camera or do something. Yeah.
No, I can do that. You can take that out. Yeah, you know. Awesome. Thank you. That was super cool.
And we've reached the end of the video. I hope we all learned something, that what we see is not always what is true. Black identity is not just one thing. Now, this video was not made to distract from the ongoing struggle of systemic inequality or to deny the very real issue that Black Americans are disproportionately affected by poverty. Nor is it meant to bash rappers or athletes. It is simply meant to highlight that there is more to Black America than what the media portrays. The Black middle class exists. We live every day, ordinary lives, just like everyone else. We are here, and we are Black. But at the end of the day, we are all human. As a society, we should remember that before viewing people through labels and caricatures shaped by the media we consume. Let's do better, and let's be better humans.